Good morning, this is SilverJay with EastVan. I'm going to do another batch. I've done a few batches and I haven't recorded any video, so I'm going to provide some more details, be more thorough. Okay, so we're working with, I don't know if you can see that, 1624, 1625 sterling. It's all jewelry, broken jewelry. The thing with this stuff is jewelers can make it 700, 800 and put a 925 stamp on it, so I expect to use more nitric acid, higher heat. Good thing about this is it's smaller, it's broken up already. There is some large chunks I haven't broken down. But yeah, so let's get going. I'm kind of rushing, okay? This is SilverJay with EastVan Refining. Just want to talk about a few things. So we're about 20 minutes in, 1600 milliliters distilled water, 250 milliliters of nitric acid, and the temperature's on 3 to 3.5. So yeah, it's a dancing game with the acid. Anytime you use any type of acid, it's very dangerous. It's extremely temperamental, so you have to put it into increments, a little bit here, a little bit there, over given amounts of time. If you put in too much, you can cause a foam over, or the acid will actually vaporize itself and you'll lose some. And then you don't want to boil it. You want to bring it as close as possible to boil as you can. It makes the acid extremely efficient in breaking down the material. So for me, with this batch, I'm going to be putting 150 milliliters of NA in increments every 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to try to run that just before boiling, and hopefully that'll keep it down to 8 to 10 hours before it's broken down. Here on the left, I just got some waste from the stock pot. I'm evaporating it, reducing, concentrating the waste down to make room. Yeah, hopefully that's been helpful there. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about the reaction, my experiences with it. So the breakdown is, in the beginning, it's extremely slow. The best way to do it is to imagine if a graph that's flat line at the bottom, just moving along. When you hit the critical points, I think it's halfway through. So a guesstimate would be, let's say this is a 10-hour process. So let's say at 5 hours, I have about half the NA added. And so now that graph is going to jump and it's going to start to dissolve more and more. Ideally, I just like to dump it all in there at once, but you can't do that. You have to do it in increments, and you have to keep leading up to it, up to that half point. So maybe like 800 NA at 5 hours in, then the action really starts. And then the majority of the dissolving happens between 800 to 1600 to 1700 of NA added at the end. And then you got to be careful about not adding too much. You always want to leave a little bit in the pot. And then when you're working with heat as a hot plate, it's a little bit more difficult too, because the reaction creates its own heat. So I'm constantly going over there and judging it, guesstimating it out like that. That gives me a good idea. I've actually ordered an infrared handheld thermometer off of eBay, so I can point at it. That'll help me with my furnace work too. But when you're doing small batches, you don't need a hot plate. You know, if it's like 10 ounces, 15 ounces, a couple of ounces, you can get away using the reaction heat to keep the process going and stuff. And obviously it only takes hours in that case. My reduction of the waste, it's going along, still slow. I'm going to top it up soon. Thinking about doing crystal nitrate, copper nitrate crystals. Yeah, I got to look into that, making one big one. I have a buddy at the flea market who's into gems and stones and stuff. Maybe he can do something with that waste, help me reduce it, get rid of it. That, or I'll probably drop it out with iron, then follow the protocol and do lime and adjust the pH, and then drop it off somewhere. SilverJay with EastVan Refining. So it's now 5:30 p.m. Started at just after 8. The pot's completely empty except for one 120 gram sterling tree that I threw in there. So it's probably 3/4 dissolved. But everything else is gone. I took a little nap, and I can't remember if I wrote down if I topped up or not. So there might be a tiny bit of excess acid in there. So what I've done is I've just taken, if you look on the side there, a 1 ounce JM bar. That's pure 999 silver. Gonna dip it in there halfway in. Let it sit for about 20 minutes and then pull it and see how much got chewed away there. Hopefully nothing, but if it did, then I'll have to drop it in there, and that 31 gram bar should eat up 38 or 40 milliliters of Na if there whatever's left in there. Okay, keep you updated. Bye. I once knew a coyote somebody had trained to go. I'll tell you what, that coyote, he had kitty every single day for the rest of his life. So it looks like the JM bar didn't dissolve. Minor little thing if you look real close. So it's good. It's good to start the first filter. So what do you? Just a basic gravity filter here. And silver nitrate is really interesting. It's extremely water soluble. So don't quote me on the numbers, but at room temperature, 20 Celsius, I think it can hold, distilled water can hold 200 grams of silver nitrate. Then you go up to 30 Celsius and it can hold like 400, 600, 800, 900 per 100 milliliters. That's quite insane. So yeah, just a little fact there. So I'll filter it out. I'll take the precious liquid and then set up the bubbler and start dropping. SilverJay with EastVan refining. So yeah, I went with the gravity filter. When I set it up, I was like, oh, I just got a new vacuum system, a really nice big one too. So I'm an hour and a half, 2 hours in. I don't know why I should have used it. So it's getting there. The problem with the gravity filter is it gets clogged up, and you got to do a lot of manual and clearing the pores and all that.